Hello everyone, welcome back to Tuak Talk. Today, continuing on the last episode with Putrajaya, it seems like Tuak Talk now becomes political.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Interesting segue,
Interesting,
right? From what we
interesting.
usually used to do. Yeah.
All right, today we're very happy to have Dr. Larry Sng with us. And I think before we get to the question, would you like to share a little bit about yourself?
Maybe introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself,
okay.
yeah.
Thank you. So my name is Larry Sng, and I'm 46-year-old. I currently serve as a member of parliament for Julau constituency, and it's a predominantly Dayak seat with 95% Bumi Putra. And I would say also that I've been in politics for over 26 years already. So it's basically been my main job for the longest of time, and I enjoy it. Yeah. Of course, I also do other things, but I think we can explain later.
Explain later.
Sure.
All right, Doctor.
Nice.
And then this one is Dr. Ashwin. No need to
Hello.
introduce.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
We'll put the whatever byline or whatever at the bottom here. Yeah.
Doctor now since the last episode, so
Okay, thank
on
you.
the
bros,
list.
thank you.
Doctor
Yeah.
now. Okay, so more than 20 years experience in politics, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of things about yourself. So I think let's start the episode with giving you Dato a chance to what parts of the story do they get right about you that you heard about yourself, and what part do they might have mispriced it a bit? What exactly? What would you like to address?
I think it's I think different people have different takeaways. Those who know me and those who don't. So for me, of course, in politics throughout the 20 years, I'm also known for some controversies. But for the controversies, I do not feel that it's such an important issue, simply because I don't take it to heart for those who don't know me. Yeah, and for those who do know me, which are mostly my constituents, I think from my track record, it has proven that they accept me for who I am, and they appreciate the work that I've done. So I think that is the most important. And for me, being in politics, the most important thing is to serve, to bring development, to help people, and especially those who are facing difficulties. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we just started, so maybe we get a
Another
more
warm-up,
fun answer little.
Okay.
No,
A bit more
just
of a
kidding.
fun answer. Okay, let's
cheers.
Let's cheers to
Cheers
that.
more.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So, Dato, you entered politics at a very prime age of 21, right? Where I think, if I remember, when I was 21, I don't know if I had the maturity or the brain capacity to consider actually representing or, being in a position to, represent people from a political standpoint, right? Do you think that starting this early in this journey has given you the experience you need to be best at what you're doing now? Or do you wish that you had some time to basically be in the benches to see how the other politicians were doing it, so that you would make a bit lesser mistakes and stuff like that? What do you think about that?
Okay, for a start, I'd never regret what I've done in life, especially when it comes to politics.
Right.
I think it was good that I had the opportunity to serve when I was young. It wasn't entirely my choice
Right.
to do so. I always thought when I was in school that perhaps when I'm 40 or 50 years old, then I might go into politics.
Oh, okay.
And but of course, when the opportunity arose, the consideration that I took was that this whatever happens after university, I'll still need to get a job.
Right.
So if I will have to find a job, why isn't this job any different from any other jobs?
Fair
So
enough.
because of that, I felt that this opportunity will not come around, and it never come around again. So as a young person, you should take a risk,
Right.
and you should take the opportunity, and also learn. Learn new cultures, learn new language, and also meet new people.
Right.
And I think I don't actually regret any of those things I've done. And I think it's good that when you go into politics at a young age, along the way you make mistakes.
Right.
And when you make mistakes, you can pick yourself back up. You can actually learn from them, and you can recover. If I were to go into politics at 56 years old, I think if I make one big mistake, I think that'll be the end of my career. Yeah.
Fair.
So I think
yeah.
from that perspective, it was a good decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say that like there's something that you, when you look back, you know, being so early in politics and all of that, were there any points now when you think back that you think that like if I did it with this kind of mindset, with this kind of maturity now, I probably would have done it differently? Do you have like any situations or circumstances like that?
Of course, of course. I do some of the things I feel that when I was younger, perhaps I was perhaps more rash, you know. Maybe I've made too many comments in the past.
Fair.
Maybe I felt that maybe I went up against individuals who are my senior in politics, and maybe that wasn't the best thing to do. But having said that, despite all the highs and lows, especially during the low times, I learned a lot, you know. And I think because of those failed experiences, you know, it actually made me stronger, and actually made me better, and also made me think the way I do now. And I think from in terms of the point of maturity, it's definitely matured me in many, many ways, much faster than had I had a very successful, smooth career.
Dato', you're the son of a Sarawak politician, a senior minister in the state government.
Oh no, he wasn't a minister.
He was a minister.
no.
So he was a politician before this. So
Politician,
this politics is not something that is like that far from your possible future when you were growing up. It's something that is kind of a lot more reachable than most other people. So how much of your political thinking when you finally decided to go in is inherited by his philosophies, of his ideas, and then when did it diverge into your own thing if you started with his philosophies?
Yeah, I think it's worth stating that I'm the third generation politician. The first one in the family was my grandfather, so he was a state assemblyman and also a member of parliament as well, back in 1963. Then of course my father came along, became a MP in 1995 to 1999, and also he became a state assemblyman for 2 terms, and his career ended in 2001 for Adunla. My career continued after that, 2001 to 2011 as Adun, during which time 2004 I became an assistant minister until I ended my career 7 years later in the state, served different portfolios, and of course I continued and became an MP in 2018 to 2000 to now, you know. I think when growing up, of course, the notion of the idea of being a politician is not something surprising. But having said that, one doesn't really know what politics means at a young age, you know. And one actually only get to experience it after having been exposed and also elected. So for me, I took a lot of inspiration, not just from my father, not just from my family, but also from my mentor. And I could say that my mentor was actually the Chief Minister of Sarawak then, which is Taib, you know, Taib Mahmud. And I find that he gave me a lot of opportunities to grow. He was also the person who promoted me in politics to become an assistant minister. In fact, the youngest assistant minister in history. And it was also him that actually gave me the chance to stand in 2001 to be a representative of the Barisan National Government.
Interesting.
You know, so I think from there I learned a lot. You know, it helped me understand politics much better. I would say that to some extent, my father and him both shaped my political thinking. But I would say that I have my own opinions as well. I have my own positioning. What they have done is they actually helped me pour out the landscape, you know, to know what happens if you do this, what are the consequences, what are the benefits. And I think the rest of it is up to me to decide what I decide to do from there.
So going back to that, not just you were saying it's not necessarily your choice to enter politics in 31. What do you mean by that?
Okay, when I said it wouldn't have been what I thought the age would be when I entered politics.
I see.
Yeah.
So you wanted, but not that early.
Well, I think at the age when you're a teenager, yeah, maybe, you know, if it happens, it happens, you know. If it doesn't happen, it's okay, you know. So
I
I don't
see.
think it was a strong desire that I definitely want to be a politician, or I definitely want to be a minister. You know, at this stage, it doesn't.
It's
it
not
didn't
like when
happen
they
that
ask
way.
cita-cita mau menjadi menteri, It's usually like doctor, lawyer, engineer,
Yeah. I wanted to be a farmer actually.
Farmer, okay.
Yeah,
Wow,
that's my
okay.
answer when I was in
Interesting.
kindergarten school.
Right.
But that's a long time ago. Yeah.
But okay, just a bit more following up on that. Me growing up, both my parents were teachers, so I was able to see how it is to be a teacher, and then I end up being a teacher myself. But once I become a teacher, it's kind of a bit different from the perspective of someone who is a son of that job. So I'm wondering, once you entered politics, were there anything that you were like, even though I saw it my whole life, I didn't expect it to be like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, in fact, when I joined politics, I got to enjoy it even more. Yeah, it's. I found that it was actually, it was my calling, in the sense that what I did, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting people. I enjoyed learning new things, and most importantly, I enjoyed helping people. I think there was a point in time when I was in school where I thought it was either between going to become a monk or becoming a politician. And I think that's a big contrast.
Yeah.
Very, very different. But my mom actually told me that actually if you become a politician, you're just like a monk as well. You're just helping people as well. So I was like, oh yeah, actually there's a nice, interesting perspective to it.
Okay.
And so if you have the right attitude, then I think everything you do makes sense. If you are into the job because you want to be making money, you want to have position, power, whatever, etc., and if you don't achieve it, you get disappointed, then of course that's not the right line for you. But if you're doing it for the right reasons and you see your rewards of your labor, every single step, whether it's from a handshake, whether it's from a hug, a smile, or a thank you from the people, and if that's what you believe in, then of course you enjoy it. And I enjoy I love my job, So there's no regrets about that. Yeah.
So,
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers again. You like the talk?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Good.
Pretty smooth.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question is, I'm going to just obviously address the elephant in the room, all right? In the sense that, like, being a Chinese person in a majority Iban constituency, right? What would be the initial issues that you think you would have faced? Did this racial point that you are at, like your race or your ethnicity, get in your way at any part of like your journey? And also in terms of like the legacy that you and your dad have set up in terms of your political journey, what would you like to actually, sort of say in terms of like what you've done for the people in Julau? How would you say that like you have left a legacy behind for them? On top of the fact that you are not, starting with the fact that like typically in a very Iban-based majority constituency, they would naturally want to like vote for someone of the same ethnicity. So we'll start from there.
So I think it's important to understand my family history. Sure. So as I mentioned to you, my grandfather was a member of parliament, then my father, then myself. And a story that comes to mind is when my grandfather told me that in the past, what they used to do is they used to travel up river, to the longhouses, and they used to sell commodities, and buy commodities from people, and they had this trade, And of course, when they stayed in the longhouse, they stayed with them, and of course, when they came down to town, they stayed in their house,
Right.
We also have a longhouse in Kapit, a very short one, 4 doors, yeah.
Okay.
And of course, during this whole exchange of trade, they develop relationships, and along the way, there's develop credit systems as well. So when you don't have the money, we give you credit, and of course, when you have the money, you pay back. You can't pay back this month, you pay back next month. Yep. So of course, people develop trust along the way, and I think it's very important because that is the foundation of how we got into politics.
Right.
My grandfather didn't become a politician because he wanted to be a politician. I think he was a reluctant politician. And that was what I was told by people of his peers, of his generation, which are no longer around today. And for my father to continue that legacy, my father was very generous, as a politician. He'd made a lot of donations, contributions to the society. And I think from there, people naturally accepted me when my time came in 2001. And for me, I just continued the service. And I think the service is what really defines my family in terms of our ability to help, not just using government allocation, but even our own funding,
Right.
And we set up the Larry Sng Education Fund in 2001 with a budget of 1 million. And I'm glad to say that as of today, of course, the 1 million has been spent.
Right.
In fact, we spent more than that. And we have also assisted more than, I would say, close to 2,000, 3,000 people, not just in Kapit, but also in Julau.
Amazing.
So I think these are some of the things that the people will remember us by. And also, in addition to the other things, in terms of our assistance in building longhouses,
Right.
helping communities, building roads, making sure that service of water, electricity, Wi-Fi, and connectivity is made accessible to the area. Yeah.
So it's like amazing to also see that, like, the color of your skin and the ethnicity also doesn't really.
But I would say that because I started at such a young age, in fact, after my exams in the UK, I straight away went to elections. So I didn't really have the time to process
Right.
all this thing about issues of race, etc., etc. But at the same time, I was in an international school before, and I was also studying overseas.
Right.
So for me, race was never really an issue.
Fair.
My best friend is a Palestinian. Another person is a Mama. I had a Chinese also as a friend. We're very close friends, and we also have Indian friends. We also have different German friends, etc., etc. So I find that race is never really an issue. Right. But for me, because I was an introvert back in school, to suddenly be exposed in such a big crowd, meeting so many people, I think I was very fortunate in the sense that I was very open, open to accept people, and people were willing to accept me.
Right.
And I was elected because I was supported by my family supporters, So I had an easy path in that sense. I mean, when I go to my longhouses, I meet the people there, I don't categorize myself as a Chinese or as a Sarakan or as a Malaysian. I just see the individual as an individual, And for me, I find that has really helped me in terms of overcoming any kind of obstacles or barriers in getting to meet people and getting to know them better.
Very insightful. Yeah.
May I address the elephant in the room also? You were mentioning about how you are a third generation politician and you're not the only one also. And there's a lot of second generation politicians. So there's been some discussion or criticism of there being some, I think the easiest word to say is some nepotism, satu, and also some people call dynasty of a certain family to be politicians, and them arguing that that's not really actual representation of the people from that, but more like a passing down of closer to what people call monarchy. But this is what the criticism says. I've read about this, I've heard about this, so Dato' have any response to that?
What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, for me, as you know, my political journey has been very colorful. I've been in different parties. I won my parliament seat in 2018 as an independent. 2022, I stood under my own party's logo and I won as well. Against GPS, and prior to that, against Barisan Nasional. These are huge heavyweights, And also, I was also up against the party president from one of the PN and also GPS component parties. So no one gave me a seat for free, or no one gave me an easy ride. I fought it out through thick and thin to get to where I am. And so if it's a case of dynastic politics, in a way, by the fact that it was from father and then later me, it was not like handed to me on a safe seat, safe ticket,
The silver platter.
etc. Likewise, if you were to say someone who is successful, father is successful, the son is successful, it's only because of the father then the son is successful. But if you were to look into the details, it doesn't mean that just because you have one generation of you have one generation of successful person, second generation, you lose the wealth in the third generation. It doesn't mean that way, You have to look at their journey. And I think my journey actually shows that people are willing to accept me for who I am, and I think that actually would be the best way to explain it. Yeah.
But did you think that Datuk think that having your father and your grandfather being in politics before you have helped to at least a little bit to make it a little bit easier for yours?
Definitely. That one I do acknowledge. And I think that is something that is also intrinsic in our society. If you look at the Daya community, which I represent as well, the Tuairma, the village chief, a lot of them are actually from father to son, or father to daughter, the Punglus, the Temungos, or, Pemanchas, also within the family. And I think for some people who are from within the society, they do expect that, because they feel that, I trust I trust the father, therefore I can trust the son. I think that is the mentality of the people in the Dayak community. And if the father is not good, even though the son may be good, they will not accept the son, regardless of whether he has a PhD, a master's, or degree, or he's very successful, very rich. They will feel that the apple doesn't fall very far away from the tree. So I think that is the way our communities view families, and I think that's why some families are in politics longer than others.
Yeah, you wouldn't have lasted 20 years if it was just because of family name. Right.
We know quite clearly that you also do have like some experience in business and in other sectors like say MPOB and stuff like that as well. MPOC. How has that sort of like helped or maybe caused any potential obstacles to your political journey?
Not at all. I think in terms of business, I played a very minimal role in business.
Okay.
Often just as an investor, and I think I was told very early on in my career that it's best to focus on one thing.
Right.
So if I'm in politics, I just focus on politics and don't get myself involved in business. I'm starting to regret that decision, but I can understand. I can understand why it was the case.
Like you're regretting in the sense of like you could potentially make a little bit more in business.
No, I think in politics sometimes, and depending entirely on politics to survive in politics, isn't really quite work. You need to have a financial arm to it, and if you don't have the sort of know-how from an early age, or you don't have someone to groom you in the early age, then you may not be able to make sort of decisions to make things successful. So I felt that I was given the opportunity to do business when I was young, when I was in politics, and I didn't, because I was told that someone else could do business instead. So I'm starting to regret that decision. But coming back to the position of MPOC, MPOC was a position I held a few years ago for the Malaysian Palm Oil Council. Prior to that, I was in the Malaysian Pepper Board. Currently, I'm in the Malaysian Timber Industry Board. When I was in the state, I was the Sarawak Convention Bureau and also the Borneo Convention Center, Kuching's deputy chair. So I felt that all these appointments in government or GLCs or statutory bodies are experiences that actually add on to my political career. Because it helps me understand how to work with people, how to work with government officers, also how to shape policy decisions, at the statutory body level or GLC level, and of course in government when I was an assistant minister as well, back in the day in Sarawak.
I think you get a better understanding of a supply chain.
Definitely.
And how things go.
Definitely. I think it's very important to actually know how to work with people in different fields. And essentially when you are in a political position, you're not working in isolation either. You cannot look at yourself as, just talking to MPs or talking to Pengurus and talking to Tuairmas, Then you shape the world based on that. I think it's very important to actually go out, talk to the business community, go out, talk to other politicians, go out, talk to embassies, talk to the normal people, and from there you can understand much better how people look at things and not just how your lens of the world is,
Cheers.
Macam minta je aku tengok.
Lama gila sih minum.
Haus. Okay. So Dato has studied and lived abroad. And I remember there's this one, I paraphrase one quote from the late Dr. Madeleine Burma. She was talking about how some government officers, they do all these fancy studies and all this statistic, and then they try to bring it into the local community. They don't understand what is this term and all that term. So I'm curious, how were you able to get all this, your time at Lada School of Economics and all those education, and translate it into a rural community and work with them on that, and not like because they might not understand these terms and these theories and all. So how do you apply it effectively to them?
Okay, I think what you learn in school is what you learn in school, you know. And after when you come to work, especially in politics, you learn a different set of skills.
I see.
So of course, for me, I studied economics, and the field I went to in politics essentially is PR and also meeting rural communities, and in a way, it's like anthropology in a way, you know. But I think studying abroad gives you the foundation to have a critical thinking, and also to help you dwell deeper, you know, into subject matters, and those skills can be applied in anything you do. And for me, it definitely has been very helpful in politics, and I felt that during my career, having to have the sort of educational training and exposure to different cultures, different people, different languages, different country, you know, actually made me much more independent, braver, and also to be willing to be open-minded. And of course, in a way, I would say that, you know, what people want necessarily may not be the best for them. So for you, for me, having been exposed to the rest of to other parts of the world, I could say like, oh, by the way, no, maybe you don't need to do this. You know, you can do something else. You know, and I will help you to do that. You know, I'll help you to apply that. Instead of having to wait until the current comes in, maybe you can look at, you know, putting up solar lamps, you know, instead. And actually, there's this solar lamp from China which is very good because it lasts longer. You know,
Right.
So I think these small pieces of knowledge does help and to improve people's lives. So I think I'm glad to share those knowledge and also to work with them.
I would like to dig deeper on the statement. People don't necessarily, I paraphrase, people don't necessarily know what's the best for them. So how do you balance between your job as a representative of what your constituency want and what they should want? So when do you decide to convince them that this is a better way, and when do you decide, okay, they really want this, memang I have
we
to
should
follow
serve this, yeah.
I should serve them. So where's the balance in that?
For me, I think what's most important is to make people happy. Yeah,
Okay.
make people happy. Because our happiness and their happiness may not be the same. As an MP with allocation and the ability to do something about changing people's life, we should do whatever we can, you know, in this short period of time that we have. And for me, therefore, when people usually ask me for something for their longhouse or something for the development of the community, I usually say yes. In fact, I was told by one of my mentors that, you know, never say no, you know, always say yes. But in addition to that, I always feel that it's important to manage people's expectation. Of course, if you can deliver, why not, you know? And of course, if there's something that's not good for them, you say no, you know. So for me, I have this this position whereby, you know, I always tell them, I said, if I can help you, I'll say I'll help you. If I can't help you, I'll say I'm sorry, you know. And for me, I'll give you an answer within 2 or 3 minutes of you asking. I will not drag it out. I will not wait for half a year. I will not wait for a year, 2 years, like you wait, you know. I will not promise and deliver my promise after 3 years, 4 years. No. If I can deliver if I made a promise to you, I'll deliver within this year. And I think that will make you happy, and that will make me happy. At least I don't have a utang, you know, on my head, you know. Yeah. And I'm sure whatever I give to them is also something that they need. Yeah. So I think this is how I operate in my area.
So appreciated. Last one. Aku angkut sebelum. Another elephant in the room. I'm pretty sure this is why people come to watch this episode. I quote, not me saying it, but Datuk have been called, people call kata, hopping from party to party, and critics call it political hopping, like strategies, things like that. But you have answered about this before, and you call it pragmatism. So, what's the line? What's the difference between being a political hopper and a pragmatic politician? So, and why does it matter to your voters?
I think end of the day, whatever I decide, I always consult my voters first. So in this particular case, if you're looking at my political history, I have actually been through many parties. My first party was PVDS, followed by PRS. After a while, I set up my own party, SWP, and later I stood as independent. And the second round I won, I stood as under PBM. So yes, I've been through many parties now. But I think it's important to give context, to what actually happened in every single stage of those political movements.
Fair.
So when I was in PVDS actually deregistered. Yeah, and when it deregistered, there's no platform, so we had to form PRS. Yeah. In fact, I was one of the pioneers to form PRS as well. But due to party struggle, I was sacked. Yeah, I challenged the presidency. I challenged Tuak Sng. And because of that, I was sacked, and I had to form my own party later on under the name of SWP, Sarawak Workers' Party. And I left after 3 years because I felt that I didn't get to contest the state election as much as I wanted to. And since I myself, as the president, did not contest, then how am I supposed to lead others when I myself don't stand? So I took the decision to stop. And it's only much later on in 2018 where I was urged to contest in Julau as an independent. And there's people who were the locals there. They were the one who actually approached me, and to see whether I'll be willing to take up the challenge. And when I went around, at first I was very reluctant because after my loss in Luban 2013, I felt that nak tahu bumai batana orang bukai, So, which actually means that you're not allowed to, you shouldn't be someone else's constituency, or someone else's area, which is not your own area. But because I was widely accepted, I was able to succeed. And I felt that, in the case of PKR, sorry, I omitted PKR just now. PKR was also one of the parties I joined after winning 2018. I was there for 2 years. And after the government collapsed after 22 months, I stayed for almost a year, I believe. So actually, it wasn't 2 years, actually about 3 years.
Right.
And during the last year, it was quite difficult because there was no allocation, there was no funding. People were wondering, what's my next move, And although they had no issues with me personally, but people in Julau were generally quite poor. In fact, in 2019, in Parliament, Rina Harun, who was the Minister of Rural Development, actually mentioned that Pakan is one of the poorest districts in the whole of Malaysia. And Pakan is one of 2 districts in Julau constituency. So naturally, as a member of Parliament, I feel that it's very important to be part of the government and to be able to access funding for them, irregardless of one's political beliefs or ideology. In fact, ideology perhaps comes second. Helping people comes first. And when I made the decision to leave PKR, it wasn't an easy decision. I don't think anyone wakes up in the middle of wakes up the next day from the wrong side of bed and say, "Hey, today I'm going to leave a party."
Yeah.
So I mean, it takes a lot of thought process in it.
Yeah.
And I did actually survey. I asked 150 staunch PKR supporters in Julau whether I should make this move. 149 of them actually said yes. So
wow. Okay.
after consulting them, then I made the move. And I can say that today PKR basically it doesn't really exist in July anymore. So I think the whatever steps I made it through consultation, and that's very important for my political survival, as well as for continued development in this in those areas. Yeah.
Okay. I think after the Sheraton move, the anti-hopping bill was tabled and voted on. I'm kind of curious, what Datuk voted on and why?
Well, I always support the government bill. That's always been my position.
Right.
I feel that as a member of the government, it's important to support the government. And never once have I wavered in that. So I would say that, for me to support the anti-hopping bill was also something that I supported. And it's also something I believed in. Because I believe that there needs to be political continuity, in government. And in a strange way also, you can say that I was providing political continuity in the government which I joined, after leaving PKR, because the government then only had a majority of one.
Right.
So me leaving at the time gave 1 or 2 seats additional to the government. And the government was able to at least function for the next 2 to 3 years, I have to say that those were very, very difficult times in Malaysian history.
Yes.
No, people didn't know what to expect. Investors were also very cautious. They didn't dare to invest in Malaysia or invest in a big way because they don't know what's going to happen after a year or two.
Yeah.
So I think I have my own reasons, but I think my reason actually fits into a very bigger picture, And I believe that having this anti-hopping bill also allows the people who have voted the government in to actually sustain their government for the next 5 years. Yeah, so I can see that, So I think it's very important,
Sengaja, ya.
One year nak Europe.
Mau ngirup.
Actually, we should give one to her actually as well.
Yeah.
Can you?
Come.
Would you like to join
Would
us?
you like to ngirup? Yeah. No, don't
No,
want.
Come on.
Anam kenyak, meh.
Ash?
In fact, she was the one who offered us a drink.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so when you left PKR to support like a slightly different federal alignment, stability was your priority. It's basically what you're trying to say, right? In hindsight, do you think that decision really delivered like real results for Julau? Or do you think it just caused like a little short-term calm in Putrajaya?
okay, I think the first one was to bring development to my people was my first priority. Second priority was actually provide continuity for the government. And to answer that part of the question, is actually both.
I see.
Not only was it to provide funding to Julau, which it did. In fact, our funding was on par with other seats, constituencies, because we managed to get almost exactly the same allocation as every other seat in government. And so I think from that perspective, the people did not lose out.
Right.
And of course, there was political calm because there was a majority of 3. And I think later on there may have been more, but definitely at least the government was able to run and also provide to follow through with their development plans,
Right.
which I think is very important because in government when you want to implement your plans, it takes years to do the planning, it takes
Exactly.
years to do the implementation and the delivery. So I think it's important that irregardless of whoever becomes the government,
Right.
it's important to support that government. Give them the chance, After 5 years, if they're not good, change, Yeah, that's my personal opinion.
Changing from political party to political party, I think a big problem that people have with it is inconsistency. And because different parties, they may have different goals, different things that they want. But for me personally, it's like I don't need my MP or my Wakil Rakyat to be perfect. I just want them to care. So it seems like you shared just now, you didn't make the decision based on like, I think I should do this, but you actually ask people in your constituency first before you make the decision and try to benefit your constituency. to me, in this discussion, it's quite clear why you needed to do that. But outside, they might have a very different perception of it. So do you think this is a branding problem that you have?
Actually, when I stood for election 2018, on my election campaign, I say, siapa nyadi perintah, dia ke kami. So whoever is the government, that's where I'll be.
I
And
see.
I think
Okay.
that was actually my political campaign. So
Right.
essentially, I did not actually break any election promise. In fact, I fulfilled my election promise. That's why I had to change parties as well. You know,
Wow. Okay, that makes a lot of
so
sense now.
that's something
Yeah.
I think we have to share. I want to share with the viewers. And as far as your second part of your point, which is branding issue, what people say outside of Julau, frankly speaking, I don't care. You know, it doesn't really affect me that much because, like I said from the very beginning, people who I do not know may have a lot of opinions about me. I don't judge them, and they can judge me. That's fine, but I don't judge them. For me, what's important is that the people who actually know me, what they think of me. Yeah, I think that's more important because if you spend too much time trying to shape people's opinion of you, you know, you're just wasting time. You know, people are going to change opinions all the time along the way. Today you're good, tomorrow you're bad. You know, but end of the day, what's important is the people you actually take care of. You know, yeah, you know, make sure that they have development, make sure that they are well taken care, well serviced. You know, they have a problem, you solve it for them. I think that's more important.
Yeah. Today, people see you as a good person. Another day, you're being criticized. And quite recently, actually, your attendance in Parliament is quite high, on average. But the one day that you were not able to attend, and that becomes a huge issue. Why didn't he attend to vote for this bill and all that? But that's another discussion later.
Oh, actually,
Go
I
ahead.
can address that. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, because on that day I was in Parliament. I was actually in Parliament. In fact, I had 4 meetings in Parliament that day. One meeting at 1:15, next meeting is 2:45, the next meeting at 3:30, and after the 3:30 meeting, I continued with my previous meeting at 2:45. You know, they continued on, and after that, I had 2 other events in the evening. So my day is actually quite packed. You know? And sometimes you do tend to forget. And mind you, this is Ramadan. You know? And my meetings were going through lunchtime. You know, so end of the day, after a while, you get tired. You know, you want to get a break. You only need to go out for a while. Personally, I had no intention to sabotage the government. I had no intention to embarrass anyone. You know, and if it happened, and honestly speaking, I would say that if it was actually better coordinated amongst the Backbenchers Club, I would have been there. They only informed me by phone 3 minutes before the vote to say, where are you? You know. And of course, if they had called me half an hour earlier, I would have been there. So I think it's unfortunate that the government, instead of having to take responsibility for their failure, they decide to unleash and let the public attack those who are supporters of the government, who were not there for various other reasons. And I think for the other 7 MPs who were not there from the government, if I was there, they would also not be there because most of them were not in Kuala Lumpur. So I think whatever it is water under the bridge, and we should look forward to what's happening in June. I understand they're going to retable the bill, and most of the MPs will be there to support. So it's not an issue.
Just to be clear, if you don't mind sharing, what would you have voted, Datuk?
I would have supported the government's bill, like any other bill.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if they were to make a bill that says something that would not naturally come to mind, I will also support it. Because at the end of the day, I think as an MP, we have to be loyal to the government of the day.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
as a government MP. Yeah.
Okay, regarding that, it seems like another interpretation of this explanation about moving from party to party is some people would say you're uncomfortable being in the opposition. Is that a fair assessment?
I think if the government were to implement laws to allow equal allocation of funding to all MPs in the government and the opposition, I think a lot of more decisions will be based on conscience, as opposed to purely along political lines. The government's position in the past was only to fund government MPs. The opposition then, which is actually essentially the PH government, PH parties, they actually wanted allocation for all, but because this is a unity government, based on that excuse, I mean, today we only see government MPs getting funds, and it's unfortunate because we could have broken the cycle, we could have actually made Malaysia a much better place, whereby the decisions could have been made based on what people actually felt was best in their best interest, and instead of having to perpetuate the concentration of power within the hands of those very few people, things could have been different.
I see.
Yeah. So maybe along the way, there's still time.
Is there currently a bill like that? Or
No, there isn't any bill as such. Yeah.
would Datuk sponsor that bill?
I don't think me sponsoring the bill will have made any big difference. It would have required the support of if it's a change in constitution, they would require the support of 148 MPs.
2/3.
Two-thirds. Yeah.
Matok je bunyi.
So you've spoken about Sarawak's position in national politics. From where you sit, do you really feel that the federal coalitions are genuinely listening to Sarawak, or are they only giving us a hearing? They're only hearing us when the numbers are very tight.
I think both. I think they're listening to us now because they know that Sarawak will make the difference, whether this government will last or not. Not just within this term, but also for the next post GE. And also because now we have what they call the kingmaker role.
Kingmakers, yeah.
We have a big say. So they also don't dare to overlook our requests. So this time is actually the best time for Sarawak.
Right.
And I think in order for us to maintain this, Sarawakian parties in general should actually work together, not just in GPS, but also those who are not part of GPS.
Right.
There should be more an effort to actually get everyone to be together. I think that way we can actually have the collateral, we have the support, we have the numbers.
And we have the last say, basically.
We have a big say. Sarawak has 31 seats. And if we have 31 seats under one government, then of course we can make a big difference. That doesn't mean that it has necessarily have to be a GPS government.
Right.
It can mean that it can be a GPS plus,
Right.
And that's something I look forward to,
Or GPS-friendly governments,
A GPS-friendly governments, yes. Yeah.
Do you think Sarawak politicians today are, like you said, it seems like you're saying federal coalitions care about what Sarawak politicians are saying, and we are negotiating with them on a lot of issues right now, still ongoing also. But do you think they're negotiating hard enough, or do you think they're just like relax,
Madinadai,
or in the name of compromise, like you said?
I don't think they care because it comes from their heart. I think they care because they are afraid to lose their support. Do you know what I mean?
They meaning the federal.
I mean to say the federal parties.
Okay.
I think they're afraid that they might lose the support if they don't give in to Sarawak's needs. And because of Sarawak's positioning of being able to, actually particularly under this Premier's leadership, he has been able to demand and request. Request and then demand many things for Sarawak. And also the leadership today, I believe PM is also someone who is actually easy to give in. So because of that good combination, we're able to get back a lot of powers under M863. And I think Sarawak is, if we continue with this arrangement, it will be good for Sarawak in general. Yeah.
They're doing quite well negotiating
They're
all
quite
this.
well negotiating for Sarawak's rights. And I believe that the federal government has been conceding a lot of ground, to Sarawak. And I think also that other parties that are not Sarawak based, but within the coalition, they may have a sense that maybe Sarawak is getting too much, or Sarawak is demanding too much, and there is a certain level of unhappiness there. But nonetheless, because we have been, in a way, neglected for so long, we also have been on the sidelines, of not say sidelines of mainstream politics, but we have always been a supporter as opposed to leading the government in the federal. Hence why we have no prime minister that's Sarakan. Only recently we had a deputy prime minister, which is Fadila. But I think with the current political dynamics, I think maybe in future, who's to say, maybe we might have a Sarakan or Sabahan prime minister in future. Yeah. So I think it's important
That'll
that
be a nice dream. Yeah.
people take notice of us, and of course we need to play our cards right to make it happen.
Okay.
Before we end this segment, a very quick question, since we are still on the topic of national politics. What are your thoughts on the current Petronas Petros dispute?
Personally, I would always side with Sarawak. Whether the argument holds water or not, that's something that leave it to the court to decide.
Okay.
But of course, I feel that if we have more funding from oil and gas or from other revenue streams, definitely we will be able to develop our state better, especially in the rural areas.
Right.
But having said that, I do feel that there needs to be more accountability, more transparency in how funds are being spent. The biggest worry for me is that we take our funds for granted and we end up spending on things that we don't really need. And if we were to go down that path, then it's a huge missed opportunity for the state and also for its citizens, for us Sarakans, I mean, when are we going to have the opportunity again to have a lot of resources that has not been exploited fully, and also to put in the right places.
Right.
Yeah. We are seeing some progress in the form of education. The government's giving funding to students, free education for tertiary education, and also doing dual language program in rural areas. That's all good. But a lot more can be done.
Right.
Yeah. And I feel that, if we were to go down the right path, whatever we do now would be audited in the history books, for all to see. We have the potential to be the most developed state in the country,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I also have an additional question. And might be pushing you into a corner a little bit. But basically what I'm asking is, based on the earlier answers, it seems that you're siding with the government. But I'm curious, is there an issue that you feel like, I don't care which side, this is a very important issue, I will vote for it because I truly believe in this? Is there any bill currently or maybe have not been made that should be made that you feel like I will vote it because I truly believe this should be voted yes or no?
I think the one issue which I feel that's worth really considering is to actually make non-bumis bumi putras.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially in Sarawak.
Okay.
Yeah, it may not be. I don't believe this is an authority under federal. I believe it's something under state. Because I know that recently, in a few years ago, they were able to amend the state laws to allow children of mixed marriages to hold bumi putra status.
I'm applying for it.
Yeah. So some of the people I know who have mixed parentage, they were able to get bumi putra status. And I feel that personally, as a Sarakan, a third generation Sarakan who has served people, who have even currently still serving the people, why should we not be given this sort of equal footing, as others who may have just migrated to Malaysia, married some big name,
and suddenly become
a bumi, and also become Melanau, or something like
ethnically.
that, ethnically, and then own thousands of acres of land. I mean, I don't think that's really quite fair.
Yeah.
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 I think as a Sarakan, most Sarakans will not feel that the Chinese should not be a Bhumiputra, or I think actually, if I can share this, after my statement on this issue, there was actually a survey done, and according to the people who were surveyed, the Malay community had no objections. The Dayak community had no objections also in Sarawak.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think in Sarawak it can happen. In the rest of the country, I do not actually push for it. And because I don't push for it, because I understand. If you're looking at Kelantan, Terengganu,
There's different
majority
nuances.
Malay,
Yeah.
different nuances, different issues, different story, history, etc. I mean, we cannot push our what we feel is best for us onto other people, in over there. And likewise, this situation may not be the same as ours. So I think it's important that whatever I say here is in the context of Sarawak, in the context of what I feel is best for the people here. And if I have a vote, which I don't, so this cannot be done in the doing. If I have a vote, I would have voted for the legislation to make that possible.
As long as you're born in Sarawak, you are native.
I think as
you
long as
serve the
you've been in Sarawak for at least of 2 or 3, I think 3 generations would be good. 3 generations is about 100 years.
Yeah.
I see.
So I mean, I'm not talking about Chinese from China who just came in yesterday, and say, okay, tomorrow I want to be a Bhumiputra. I would say no, definitely not. Chicken and queue,
Yeah.
So I think it's important that the law should reflect the aspirations of the people at this time.
Yeah.
And I believe that the Chinese have contributed so much to nation building in Sarawak, and not only Chinese, the Indians as well in Sarawak. Although its numbers are small, but I don't think they should be discriminated. And essentially, that will actually cover everyone.
Datuk, you were mentioning about the survey just now about Malay having very little objection to it. What about the others, the Dayaks and all that?
No objection.
It's
There's
okay.
no one particular race that actually came out to say no.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But of course, I do not know, is this a survey of 1,000
happened to
people
it?
or a survey of like 20 people in a coffee shop? I don't have the information.
I see. Okay.
But I know that it was done. It was done by one of the government agencies, and that was the response. So I think that's good. It's good. It shows that Sarakans are politically mature. It shows that Sarakans are also open, inclusive, and it's something that we should embrace as opposed to something that we should reject.
Cool. That's fine. Now let's look into the future. Like speculate about what the future or what are future plans, things like that. So as the president of Parti Bangsa Malaysia and currently its only MP in Parliament, what is PBM's realistic growth into the future?
I think PM will grow organically, whereby we will decide on candidates based on quality leadership, and also to look from and also to expand from there. I've actually been through so many different parties and seen how they actually operate and seen how their expectations are. But what I do find that if you do not have an organic way of growing a political organization, what will happen is you'll have a lot of wastage, financial wastage, in terms of time, resources, and also building up false expectation. So I think that is important to do. Develop the right leaders, find the first most important, find the right leaders, and then to develop them.
So in today's political economy, you think a small party would be able to survive based on just principles alone, or does relevance of the party now very much depend on the likes of like constant mergers, partnerships, trade-offs or anything like that?
I think PKR actually started with 1 seat in Pematang Power, and in 2018 they gone to 1 up to 47 seats.
Right.
We are not PKR, but nonetheless, it doesn't mean that it's impossible to achieve something greater than just 1 seat. I think mergers and joining coalitions are always options on the table, and whether or not that is a good decision or not is only tested by time. But I think what's important is that more important than having to merge is to actually see whether the characters behind those leadership are people you can actually work with,
People can trust.
People you can trust,
believe in.
whether you have the same ideology, same thinking, and also whether you're able to manage each other's expectation. It doesn't mean that just because you put two, like for instance, two Malays in one party, they'll live forever. They'll be together for forever. It doesn't mean that way. And likewise for the Chinese, the same, or the Dayak is the same. So I think it's important to look beyond what's on paper, but actually to get to know the people behind those, the leadership structure. I think that's very important. Yeah.
Well, moving on from, okay, not moving on. Okay. Moving on from politics. Oh,
this is wrong.
moving on from that, let's talk about the tuak now.
Spicy.
Today, Dato' have brought a number of tuak here.
Yes,
Would you like to share about them?
Okay, this one is actually nanas. Nanas.
Pineapple.
Pineapple.
Nice.
One of the best, I think. Yeah, very smooth.
We're having that in the first segment earlier, right?
First segment.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. The second one is Mulberry. Mulberry tuak. And the third one is currently Lada. Lada tuak. And of course, Lada, pepper. Pepper is the main commodity that's grown in Julau. And of course, Sarawak has the best pepper. And not just Sarawak. I mean, Sarawak has the best pepper in the world.
Right.
Yeah. So definitely you feel that there's a kick there. Yeah.
I think for the audience, you have to know that all these tuak are from Julau. From Julau, yeah.
Oh, yes, it is. It is.
From Julau. That's how powerful the tuak is. I'm starting to slur.
After you finish your tuak, you say May,
May.
or June,
So these are the products of your constituency.
Yes,
That's what
it
I'm
is.
saying.
It is.
And if you want to buy them, if you want to have some of them, details over here and also at the end of the video. Lah. Thank you so much for bringing the tuak. Usually
welcome.
we prepare the tuak, but this time, thank you so much. For bringing
We have,
it.
in fact, before I came, I have 10 different type tuaks.
Oh, wow.
So this is just
We
a
cannot
fraction.
drink all lah.
Obviously can't.
Unless we have another segment potentially next time.
Oh,
You don't know.
maybe.
Yeah.
Right. You have established an education fund, and before we go on in detail about that, I would like to understand from Dato' himself, like, what is it for? How does it work? Who is it for? Where does it go? How far does it go? Does it fund until PhD? I don't know. Like, how does it work actually?
Sure. So the education fund started, this is called Larry Sng Education Fund, started in 2001. And also is initially set up to help students from Pelagos constituency. And our main target is actually those from the low income groups. But nonetheless, we did not discriminate. We actually gave to everyone. Everyone who is qualified, mean to say that their parents are either voted from Pelagos, and also they must be studying at that time matriculation, diploma, degree, masters, and of course PhD. Anyone who falls into that category will get the support, but they only get the support once. So initially, when we started in 2001, the initial grant was actually 2,500 ringgit per person, and over time it's reduced to 1,000, and from 1,000 to 400 ringgit. The reason why, because we wanted to make sure that this fund can last as long as possible to benefit as many people as it can. And this fund is actually privately funded. And in fact, even when I wasn't in government, I was no longer YB, I was still supporting the fund personally, giving it out from my own pocket, and also having to maintain the same conditions as it was before. And when I was in Julau Parliament seat, I actually continued this tradition. And as of today, every single year, we benefit over 200 students, minimum. In fact, as of February this month alone, last month, we benefited 189 students. And we're going to expect another intake in July. So I would say that to round up the year, maybe we'll have helped at least about 300 people over, and you consider stretching this over the last 2 decades, there's been quite a few people who has benefited,
What inspired this education fund? Like, why do this? Like, you could have spent the money many different ways into not specifically just for education, for other things, for entrepreneurship, for other so many ways the money could have been spent. But why an education fund?
Because I think education is the most important tool and skill that one can actually give to one's children. And I came in a time in 2001, just after I came back from the UK. And I remember in the UK, there was an election. And the Prime Minister then, which for the life of me, I can't remember who's the name, they campaigned on education. So I felt that was something that was very handy and also very relevant for people in Kapit. And so I did that. I campaigned on education, and we made sure that what we said, we actually followed through with some deliverables. And the education fund was definitely one of them. Yeah.
I feel that just adding on to that part, right? Not to sound as if you are trying to be transactional or you're trying to expect something in return, but I'm sure that like part of this investment also, there's a small thought in terms of like what's the kind of return on investment or the ROI you're looking at. Does not have to be financial. It could be more like an impact kind of thing. So what is the kind of ROI you're potentially looking at from this education fund?
I hope that people get better jobs when they finish their studies, I hope that they are able to serve and to help their families. I hope they are able to get jobs. They're able to find placements in the government, go overseas, work in multinational companies, like many do in the oil and gas industry or in the timber industry. Generally, after they have succeeded in their life, I want them to come back and serve their communities. That's why I hope this education fund will be able to help, others do, yeah.
Awesome. All right, so looking ahead, do you see yourself continuing your leadership role outside of just the parliament in terms of like, say, like you're already setting quite the example with like your education fund. What about in terms of like entrepreneurship, or maybe in terms of like, say, philanthropy, or maybe in terms of like advisory roles or consulting roles and stuff like that? Do you see yourself potentially going into these kind of endeavors?
Well, currently, in addition to my parliamentary work, I also sit on as the chairman for the Malaysian Timber Industry Board, which is a statutory body. And in addition to that, I'm also the chairman of Chinese aided school, in Sarawak.
See.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a chairman of Hot Lam School for over 20 years. And we're also helping children in primary school to study Chinese, Currently, my school actually has 605 students.
Wow,
and
okay.
70% of them are Bumi Putras.
But they're Chinese educated. In
They're
the
Chinese
sense that, like,
educated,
yeah.
yes, correct. Yeah, and then Kapit. And so it's not just purely the education fund. I'm also helping in then that field as well. Business wise, less so. I don't. Generally, I'm not so money driven. I'm actually driven by seeing results in communities, seeing
Impact,
results in people,
impact-driven.
impact driven, and generally that's what I'm doing. Essentially, I can say I'm almost 100% politician. Yeah, I'm not a part-time politician. I'm a full-time politician.
Understand.
And there's one other organization which I'm heading is PDK.
Okay.
So PDK actually helps people who are having disabilities,
Okay.
in Julau.
I see.
And we
Okay.
have about 22, 23 people who are beneficiaries
basically.
who are actually going to PDK Julau every other day, and I think it's important to highlight that there are many people in the community which have disabilities, orang kurang upaya.
Yeah.
So it's important to have PDKs throughout the country to support people with such disabilities,
Yeah.
to make sure that not only are they being properly cared for, but also just to show them that they're not the only ones,
Right.
in our society.
Okay. Another thing very close in the happening in the near future, state election coming soon. I was wondering if Dato' have any advice or something that you want to share to especially because most of our audience are Dayak. So anything that you want to say to Dayak voters, especially the young ones there who are first time voting, and I do just want to note that a lot of comments asking us like, if you're talking to Dayak voters, speak Iban lah.
Oh, okay. So you want to speak in Iban?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any advice for the Dayak voters?
Jadi aku asal aku lah bala kita daya tu kita itu mesti ambil peluang maya jam berpilih pulai ke undi nangira ke sida tu gawa ba Johor, gawa ba Semenanjung, gawa ba tempat-tempat jauh, kadang-kadang sida tu ngai pulai ketegal tambang tu mal, ketegal sida tu kira ke buai masa me tahukah sida tu asai sida tu nak peduli ke politik ba Sarawak leban ketegal sida tu gawa ba menua bukai nanti kita ka mansang ke kaum kita masyarakat kita mesti get involved lah alam politik. Now alam politik di pada aku kelebih ba kawasan luar bandar agi bisi maya utai kita itu bedau bisi jalai maya menua tu bedau bisi jalai, bedau bisi api, bedau bisi air, bedau bisi wifi, kawa ba kebun maya ke sida nantu bisi maya belanja, duit belanja. Jadi ini alai there is a lot of room for improvement. Now aku pada setiagi I feel that there should be more involvement of their intellectuals in politics. Laban ke dia tu, if you want to get into politics, it's very hard. Very hard meaning to say that if you are not connected, kadang-kadang tu nuan tu nanti ke belakang queue, and if you are nuan tu kelalu pandai tu, nanya dia. Laban orang ke nak pandai tu ke blok nuan, ngai bedak nuan laban takut ke nuan lompat, nuan tu overtake si daya. So that seem to be the problem lah. So among not just in that political circles, but generally all over the world. But there needs to be more involvement of intellectuals, more involvement of them, not just on the macro level, not just become keyboard warrior, or just main online, talk Facebook aja. Sida mesti turun padang, bertemu ke rakyat, bertemu ke bala sidaya, sidampu. Laban, you be surprised, many of them who are very intellectual, successful, sida nak pulai rumah panjai. And kadang-kadang tu, laban sida udah mujur, alam ke business sidaya, minta ampun lah, bisik ke sombong sidaya. They don't want to listen to others because they feel that sapa gede, I already succeeded. Who are you to tell me, So I think the way to approach this is that, especially among those in business, those in the government service, especially in the government service, maya sida tu bertukar, oda sida baduk alam kerja sida masuk politik. You have to relearn whatever you know already, because your set of skill can only apply in certain aspect of politics, not the older aspect. If you are a former resident or a former DO, you suddenly want to become a aduna or MP, you don't expect for the people to come and see you. Pakar subah nuan ba office tu, jam pukul 9 pagi sampai pukul 5 lamai. Orang datang bertemu nuan, hello tuan, minta tolong hari nuan. No, you cannot. If you want to get the votes, you have to go down to their longhouse, Nuan mesti berkaul dengan sidaya. Nuan mesti turun padang, You have to sit with them on the floor even, Whatever they drink, they used to drink, So I think this is the sort of thing that people expect. So a lot of times, people who are successful, they don't come back. They don't mix with the people. Even some of their relatives don't know who they are. So I think for them, they need to have a change of mindset. I think that's important.
I think, continuing from that, one thing that Professor Jayum shared on the last episode was if you don't join the voting process, you are basically letting other people decide your future. So my question to you, and asking them who are on the fence about going back to vote or deciding not to vote, like why doesn't matter, my one vote doesn't matter. Are you comfortable with letting other people decide your future? Because that's is essentially what your vote is. Yeah. So, yeah, go vote. Basically. Right?
Use your right.
Yeah.
Okay, go and vote. It's very, very important. Be part of the process. I think it's about time for us to make a change. And like Dato was mentioning earlier, it's a really good time to be a Sarawakian right now. So when we do have the opportunities to make the change, to make the forward move, with very credible and very good politicians like Dato as well.
Oh, thank you very much.
Leading us.
You can join my party after this.
Sure.
There's 99 seats now.
if you need some color in the seats, like I can add some color there as well. But like, yeah, use your right to the best. And like, there's no more excuses like, aku si gila politik to, si minat gila. No. I think it's about time for us to stand up, make the change that's needed. And we have all the support. We have all the ways to basically move forward. It's a shame if we don't do anything about it. Yeah.
And just to end the episode,
Oh, before that, can I add something
sure.
to it? Maybe something that I would like to see out of the Dayak community. I actually feel that Dayak community has been fragmentalized, too many different parties, Yeah, and I find that if you look at longhouses, often you find that longhouses always break because of different opinions, different leadership. Longhouses from 40 doors become 20 doors, 20 doors become 10 doors, etc., etc.
Build a brick wall in between,
Build a brick wall, have two toiramas, So these things do happen. It's unfortunate, and it divides people. But I do feel that, there needs to be a change in mindset. And the change actually starts from the heart, of having to be able to involve everyone, including people you don't agree with. So a lot of times in the Dayak politics that I see is that once you find someone who is opposition to your opinions, first thing you do is kick them out. Kick them out from the longhouse, kick them from the party, kick them out. Because you feel that they are a threat. And they are a threat to you, and therefore you cannot afford to have that threat. That's why you want them out. But if you keep doing that, you lose political influence on the overall. And being the biggest block, biggest race in Sarawak, actually by right, there's so much that can be achieved, for for Dayak leaders. They could have been the premier, they could have been the state secretary, they could be the TYT, but they're not. And why, So you cannot blame other races, You cannot blame the Malays, you cannot blame the Malanas, you cannot blame the Chinese, you shouldn't blame. You should actually ask yourself, what are you not doing that other people are doing? If you look at the Dayak community today and you ask, who is the paramount Dayak leader? I think you have a lot of question mark, Yeah. Everyone seems to serve their own area best. But they don't seem to have that kind of influence in other areas. Maybe it's high time that everyone should work together. It's high time that we put the differences aside. High time that look for the interests of the community first. I think that's very important, moving forward.
that's why we have Tuak Talk also. I think another criticism that we get also, like, hey, why are you getting like figures from this side or that side? No, actually, to make it clear, Tuak Talk has no sides. We're a platform, and if you feel like your Wakil Rakyat should be here, tell them lah. We would love to have them from any side.
like just
Yeah.
reach out to us through
Reach out to
our
us.
different platforms.
Yeah.
But in essence, we are a platform to hear all sides, right? We may have our very personal opinions, we may have our very personal standings on how we wish to operate and all of that. But the whole beauty of democracy, the whole beauty of debate, the whole beauty of all of this is so that we can sit together, discuss and chat with a drink of tuak, so that we can be a lot more open and a lot more understanding to build better synergies, to build a better future.
All right. Okay. Looking into the future, when your political career is eventually reviewed, audited by history, what do you hope people will say you consistently stood for beyond your party, beyond your alliances? And what do you wish to be remembered for as an MP?
I don't care really, honestly. End of the day, if you're not around, why bother? You know? Yeah. I think there's. I think these are things that if you do good for the people, people remember. You know, of course there are people who will forget along the way, but at that age, I don't think it really matters anymore. I've seen many politicians who are being very, very powerful in their heyday, and today they're just walking around like just any ordinary person on the street. You know, whether they're Tan Sris or Dato Sris or Datos, you know, it doesn't matter. End of the day, when you're getting old, you have other priorities in life. And if you are so fixated on legacy issues, then I think then perhaps you're not ready to let go, you know? Yeah.
Very politically correct answer like that.
You have many glasses, many drinks already.
Right. Just want to say, to end the episode, thank you so much for joining us at Tuak Talk. And we've reached out to a lot of people. And to be honest, I'm surprised that Dato was very happy and excited to be with Tuak Talk. I assume like excited to be Tuak Talk, to be with Tuak Talk.
I think
But yeah,
he is.
yes,
I think
yeah.
he's excited. Yeah.
He
Yes,
drank
I say yes,
all of
yeah.
it. He didn't skip any of it. That's
Yeah.
no, I said one lah. Okay, but yeah, I wish more of our representative do this, because basically like this is part of like communicating with the people, and most of our viewers are Dayak and all that, so it's nice to have an actual representative that are talking for them and representing them, to be here and being clear and being open. And I know some of the question for some people might be very spicy or anything, and I salute that you are here, brave to answer it and just being clear about it. And that's what we want from democracy, and that's
Yeah,
what
because
I want from my
Because I'm not from
representative.
GPS.
Yeah. Oops. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. It's genuine and it comes with
Yeah.
it comes from the heart. So there's no filters. There's no need to like really stifle yourself from what you want to say and all of that.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate that.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you for having me. And I do wish you all the very success in your future recordings. I think, as I mentioned earlier, Sydney, I had the same idea and concept a month ago, you know. And I'm glad that you actually, I mean, without even us communicating, you already started it much earlier. And I really liked your concept. And I do hope that more engagement can be done among the academics, among the NGOs, politicians, you know, and other experts, you know, in the field. We need to have more dialogue and discussion among ourselves. So good luck. All the best.
Thank you
Thank you so much for that.
I'll link to that.
Okay.
Last one. Right.
Cheers.
Cheers.